who doesn't need introduction, a very well-known name in the telecom industry, earlier with Airtel and now very actively involved with the PVR group and also with the Bennett Coleman group. Sanjay was also the Telecom Person of the Year in 2012. And we really look forward to a very interactive session. As I said in the beginning, all these sessions are supposed to be as interactive as possible so that there is a two-way communication. I think communications is all about multi-way, multi-channel communications. Sanjay, the floor is yours, and we have about 60-65 minutes for the, or maybe 70 minutes for the session. Thank you. Sanjay.
All right. Thanks. The session's been shortened by about 10 minutes, I realize, but that's fine. We'll restrict ourselves to the timings. A very good morning still to all of you. And before I pass on the mic to my distinguished colleagues and dignitaries on the dais, I would just like to bring everybody on the same page with what's happening here. And I'm sure to some of you, this is not new, but to others it might be meaningful to set a stage for the discussion that's going to unfurl over the next 70 minutes. I'm sanguine, and I believe that no matter what India and Indian telecom industry has gone through, the future is going to be very bright. And the future is going to be bright because telephony in India is going to be the medium through which many fallacies and gaps on infrastructure will be set right for most Indians, irrespective of what industry they're trying to pursue or what business they're trying to pursue. While I say that, there's a reality that faces all of us, and I think it's very important to take cognizance of that reality. First and foremost, despite all our criticism about government taking away very high price for auctions and for spectrum, I think the industry went back again and bid 61,000 crores plus for the spectrum. Now that puzzles a lot of us to say, what's going on, guys? Is that the price we want to set for ourselves for future? Then what's the way, what's the model that's going to take us there? The 1 cent model that has brought about a penetration of 900 million phones in the country, and that many other countries have emulated based on our experience, is that going to be sustainable if we are going to be paying $2 billion for every 5 megs of spectrum going forward? Or is there something else that's going to come and hit us as we progress? On the other side, we have these over-the-top players who are eyeing our businesses, and not in India, but globally. And we know SMS is under a big threat. And my own take is in the next 2-3 years, only dinosaurs will use SMS. SMS will be completely out. Value-added services, a similar plight, where everybody is attacking that domain, and apps are the real reality of today. If you go down to a 20-year-old or a 18-year-old, he lives his life through applications, and at an average, between 50 and 100 apps reside on a smartphone that is there in the hands of a youngster. Given all this, there are other policies of the government, whether it's mergers and acquisitions, or sale of spectrum and trading of spectrum, or collaboration on spectrum where spectrum can be shared, which is probably the need of the hour today. But those all look to me very iffy and very few takers, and we will hear the experts comment on that to tell us, are there any takers to that, or it's just something that will remain on paper and will never see the daylight. And finally, we also have a scenario where when you look at the Chinese, they've really done well to propel some of their companies, whether it's Huawei or ZTE or many others. Today, all these are forces to reckon with. They've given run for money to the European manufacturers, American manufacturers, and they're surviving. Of course, they're not surviving without real backing from the state and state sponsorship. Is there a need for us, for the question that got asked this morning about manufacturing, to propel some of these from India for the next generation, or there's no need and leave it to the rest of the world? and let people come and compete, and may the best man win. So I think these are many questions that we are all watching, don't have real answers for, but probably each operator has a strategy, each service provider has a strategy, each application developer has a strategy going forward on some of these. So I think given this backdrop, let me now invite some of the experts to come and share what they are doing strategically to either take care of one or more of them going forward. So first of all, Martin, welcome to the dais, and let me open up this session through you. Each one of them will have 3 or 4 minutes to comment, and then we will have some more questions that we will pose to some of them, which will be strategic, and then open the house to all of you.
Yeah, thank you, Sanjay. I want to start with something that is at a pretty high level, but of course we will, I think, go into more detail later. My worry for India and telecoms in India is really about where the money goes. And this is not new. When I came 5 years ago in this country, and you must remember, in the first CEO roundtable we had with the minister, I said to the minister, listen, I've seen that in this country telecoms people are working until after Christmas for the government and then a few days for the shareholders. And now it's actually probably not improved at all. It's probably worse. And I'm reading from this morning's newspaper, Telecom Infra spending to fall. This is the Planning Commission. Yeah? This is not Vodafone, this is not the COAI, this is the Planning Commission. Infrastructure spending in the debt-laden telecom sector is likely to plummet by over 26%, blah, blah, blah. And then it says that the Planning Commission note further shows that telecom infrastructure-related investments in 2012-13 were 32,000 crores, which was barely 31% of the estimated level of over 1 lakh crores. Now, I think this is the issue. The issue is, and people don't understand it, you can have an ambition. You can have an ambition as a country, you can have an ambition as an industry, but in the end, this is a capitalistic world. And this is a world where the telecoms in India was built by private industry, not only by private industry, but I think the privatization, the deregulation that happened in the 90s and the beginning of last decennium drove that development very hard. For that, you need private investors to believe in that sector. And in my view, this is the biggest issue that we will face in the next few years. There is simply no new capital coming to this industry because there is no return. Let me give you the numbers of Vodafone, just to give you the feel. Vodafone paid $11.5 billion to buy out Hutch. Then it paid $5.5 billion to buy out SR. So by that time, they had spent $17 billion. In that, which is, let's say, when we did the first deal, the rupee was, let's not forget that, was 42, 43. So it was a lot more expensive than it is today. In the period that we are in the country, we have paid 70,000 crores to the government. I pay in Vodafone roughly 29% of my gross revenues to the government. If you add it all up, spectrum fees, license fees, sales taxes, whatever, import duties, it's about 29%. It was the same thing that Mr. Pitroda said this morning, about 30, he said. That's true, 29%. So we paid 70,000 crores to the government. We invested on top of what we paid to get into the country, 64,000 crores in spectrum and in networks. 7 years, zero has gone back to the shareholders. I think this is the problem, not only of India, because if you read The Economist, this week there's an interesting article about investments in emerging markets, and it actually opens with Vodafone investing in India and in Turkey, having invested $25 billion over 7 years and got zero return. Now, India is by far the biggest in the 25. So I think, for me, this is the biggest issue that the industry faces.
Mr. Upadhyay, your views, please. Clearly, $17 billion can be intimidating for anybody. That's a huge amount of investment with no return at a PAT level. Forget cash being taken back by the shareholders. So what's the BSNL plight and opinion on this?
Thank you, Sanjay. No, I mean, what Martin said, I couldn't agree more. It has been a journey where returns have been really very meager, whether it is for private telcos, where, I mean, these things are very closely monitored by the shareholders. Even for a government entity like us, though we do have certain other extraneous issues which are not there with the private telcos, but the position is same. The investment, the returns have not been commensurate at all with the investments so far. And that, I mean, we also have to look for various regions and see whether some of those regions were internal to the industry. Like, no industry can sustain for long on price war. This telecom service providers in our country, for very long, for pretty long, there has been a very intense price war. We have to look back and see whether it was really essential and whether or not some of the situations in which we find ourselves today in is a product of that. So that's one. But just, I mean, that is to comment on Martin's point that I fully agree with it, but the regions we have to analyze and at least really take a lesson that when we embark upon so-called second telecom revolution, we do not inflict ourselves. I mean, self-inflicted injuries should be avoided. It's everybody sitting here knows that until yesterday, until 10/11, the telecom industry was the poster boy of the Indian economy. See, we were saying that it's a sunshine sector, sunrise sector, and so many things. But then suddenly some things happened, what we popularly know as 2G scam, and the whole lot of sentiments went down. And we have seen that even the numbers which were growing at very fast pace, they slumped down, and there was a overall atmosphere of gloom in the industry. This turn of situation has forced us, I mean operators, as well as government, to revisit the rules of the game to bring back a smile on the faces of telecom stakeholders. Government has taken steps in areas like licensing, like foreign investment, merger and acquisition, trading of spectrum, and penalties on operators. So many whole lot of steps have been initiated by government because they were forced to revisit the scenario. On the other hand, we operators have seen that voice alone cannot fill the vacuum. We have also seen that running competition only on tariff war is not going to give survival strategy for future to come. So with the combined effort of all stakeholders, we have seen, we are beginning to see that fundamentals have improved in 13-14 and industry started looking ahead with positive results. Government has increased FDI limit from 74 to 100. Government has also given unified license regime permitting operators to use the spectrum for voice and data without any capping on the technology to be used. Government has also permitted sharing of active infrastructure as well as trading of spectrum. So I'm saying that these steps have been initiated, realizing that we are in trouble. Operators have increased tariff in all three segments, namely GSM, fixed line, as well as broadband. Customers have responded positively so far and shown increase in number of minutes per month, thereby helping operators to increase ARPU reasonably well, I'll say. Industry has witnessed a financial growth in the range of 11 to 12% in 13-14. Recently conducted spectrum auction, which Sanjay also mentioned, clearly indicates, I may say so, that confidence level is returning back. 61,000 crore, even government had not expected, I must say that. So fortunately, telecom companies are now in a better position to attract buyers and investment that they have been for some time lower. Competition and continuing market growth is giving them the chance to rebuild their balance sheets and grow both bigger and stronger. Their customers may complain about rising tariff, but at least the industry is now looking more sustainable. To keep the momentum going and sustaining, the telecom industry must focus on broadband and value-added services, of course, with a lot of innovation in it, along with the voice which will continue to provide bread and butter for us. A broadband penetration is approximately, currently is of the order of 1%, and there is huge possibility of broadband growth using both wireline as well as wireless broadband. As far as spectrum is concerned, increased availability of spectrum in 900, 1800 and 2.1 gigahertz requires attention of government. This is one point which is very important. We may think of releasing sub 700 megahertz TV band for super Wi-Fi services as steps taken by US to increase spectrum availability. Government policy NTP 2012 also, gives certain fillip to the industry. So all I want to say that the setback is purely temporary, and by the combined effort of government as well as telecom service providers, also better understanding from customers, the sector is on the path of being rebuilt, and we look towards sustainable growth in the sector as before.
I'm sure each one of us are reflecting back on some of the discussions that are happening here. We see a state incumbent who seems to be more positive and believes that the sustainability is returning. And we have a private sector incumbent who believes he's still not out of the woods. He still doesn't make money after spending so much and having invested so much over the last few years. So let's have an opinion from a challenger. And I'll come down to the non-operator fraternity later on. So Arvind, from your perspective, being a challenger in this market, how do you see on some of the things that we've been talking about?
Yeah, actually, we, as you know, right, we have come to this business last year. And as is the old saying, a healthy mind lives in a healthy body. When I see overall the health of the sector, because we have come out from a very, very bad phase, so we are all feeling good. But like some of the reports when we read 250,000 debt on this sector, and the pricing at which we are selling, the spectrum price what we have paid. When we see all those things, it doesn't give a very good feeling in coming times, how things are going to really change. Financial health of the sector, for changing the financial health of the sector, there are few things which are given, like as far as your cost of the spectrum is concerned, your AGR what you have to pay, the energy cost which you have to pay to keep your